beat the Georgia Bulldogs, you're gonna feel the bulldog.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Row 60, a Georgia football podcast. My name is Clark Gaines. Joining me today, as always, Adam Thorne.
Boom, baby. Woo!
And this is show number 80. And Adam, we've got something very special for the people out there.
We do, Clark.
We asked our Row 60 patrons, we said, hey, we've got a couple of episodes extra before the Clemson preview show.
Right.
And we said, what do y'all want to hear? And we gave them some options, and unanimously, Adam, this did not even come close to the others. Like, actually, I don't even think another option received a vote.
So we did a poll.
We did a poll.
Okay.
We let the people decide, Adam.
Nice. Love that. All about democracy.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. But the people have spoken. They've casted their votes, and this one won, hands down, the best college football environments we have experienced.
All right, man.
So we're going to explain what that means. We're going to lay down some ground rules. And joining us on this episode, Adam, it's not just you and I this time.
That's right.
We're bringing on two guests who've made an appearance before, Will Matthews and Baylor Terrell. They're two DGDs.
Two DGDs.
They have been with us on the road. I used to work with them back on the football team, and we're just going to have a great time because, hey, we're getting really close to Georgia football.
Oh, man, getting really close, man. I mean, now it's getting to where at that time, Clark, where we talk about that we get live practice updates and reports every single day. So there's something fresh to read every single day, man. And that's what you just want to get to August, because when you get there, you feel like you've made it, you know. And it just the anticipation just goes to a fever pitch every passing day. You're counting down the days, the hours, the seconds, and just trying to just get any little tidbit or nugget of what happened on the practice field, and you're just praying every night that nobody's ACL gets tore or anybody hurt. You know what I mean? I knocked on wood. I mean, that's what you're thinking. Everybody's thinking it. Just opening the phone every single night, thinking, just praying that there's no injury report or anything of anybody that's been banged up, and you love hearing about who's standing out. And it's just that's what August is about, man. And then going back and every single night you're putting on a new replay. You know, so I watched the 2022 Georgia-Tennessee game the other night. I watched the Peach Bowl the other night. Watched the Ole Miss game the other night. And my wife, Kelsey, she's like, I mean, you know who wins. Why do you keep watching these things? And I tell her every time, I was like, well, why do you watch Friends for the 100th time? You know, I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. This is better. Georgia football's better to watch. But
I agree.
Anyway, so I mean, it's that time. It's that time.
Yeah, our good friend of the show and patron, Baylor, would maybe not agree with that statement. He's a big Friends guy.
Big Friends guy, Baylor.
Yeah, so, hey, hold up. Let's introduce them once again. Baylor Terrell, Will Matthews, our two guests on this show.
Yes, sir. Give my hand.
Give him a hand. Give it up. Yeah. So for those who don't know Baylor and Will, once again, we worked together in college. We were all there at the same time. Nice. And just two class act guys, salt of the earth individuals.
Giving Kirby good looks on the film.
Yeah. They did some good film work.
Good film work.
They sure did.
Love that.
And so let's start with you, Baylor. If you don't mind, reintroduce yourself. Some people do know you. But just give us some background information, who you are, where you live.
One thing also, you might recognize Baylor from a video that we took in Knoxville, Tennessee. Waving to the Tennessee contingent goodbye. Baylor's featured in that video. So if the face was recognizable, I've seen it before somewhere. It wasn't on the podcast. That's where it's from that you're thinking about. But go Baylor, go ahead. Floor's yours.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back on here. Watch every single episode. Like Gaines said, we were worked together when we were at Georgia, and then also we were roommates for 2 years, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
2 years. Yeah, 2 years. And so just been one of my best friends to this day. And so love getting to support them through Row 60. But just a little bit about me. I am from Cleveland, Tennessee. It's about an hour south of Knoxville. So when Adam's mentioning that video of me waving goodbye, that one had a little bit more meaning to me than any other game does every single year. But been a diehard dog my whole life. I was kind of born into it. And I mean, I think, this is glory days, and I'm just so thankful to be able to be a part of it, be able to witness it during my lifetime, because there was a lot of those years early on that I never thought I would get to see the stuff that you see behind me. Not necessarily just winning one national championship, but winning two, much less back to back, and then just being the perennial powerhouse that we are right now. I never thought those days would come. So, man, it's awesome. And I told my wife when we got married, she's not a Georgia girl, she's an Ole Miss girl, but I told her, I said, you just need to know I am obnoxiously obsessed about Georgia football. I can't help it. It is what it is, and I don't think it'll ever
right.
change. So.
That's right. You got to establish that from the beginning, and you don't drop on one knee unless there's an understanding there.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
That, I mean,
y'all are
not always going to be there.
Y'all are not equally yoked, and when I say that, I don't mean. Yeah.
I mean, you just got to know. I mean, you have got to know. Your significant other has to know that going in. Has to know that going in.
Yeah,
I mean, it's. I mean, you know.
Well, it's funny because when we actually had bought our house and stuff, I told her, I said, I have to have at least some kind of a man cave where all my Georgia stuff can go. And our house has an upstairs above the garage. And she was like, you can have that. Just make sure all your Georgia stuff is up there away from sight. So nobody has to see it unless they go watch football with you. I'm like, that's perfectly fine with me. So
we give and we take.
That's right.
We give and we take. That's good.
That's exactly right.
And I love it. That's awesome, Baylor. That is awesome.
I love it. Yep. And then Will, reintroduce yourself for the people who may not know you.
Yeah, gentlemen. We are no Sean Marino days away from kick. It's pretty 4 days out.
There you go.
Yeah. My name is Will Matthews. Like Clark said, I work with Baylor and Clark. 2017 to 2020. Actually, have some expertise in this because what I did for Kirby was basically do the crowd noise. So it helped to simulate some of these environments we went and did during those games. Some better than others. But yeah, basically, I'm psyched, man. We're getting close. I walked in to talk to my girlfriend this morning in her office, and she's looking at her Georgia attire she wants to wear this year. She said that, usually I'm caught off guard. I want to have some cute outfits for Georgia games, and it's always the day before we go to a game, so I'm trying to get some for this year. And I'm like, there you go. Now there is like Baylor. You texted me a couple weeks ago. You got your polos ready for the year. That's part of it. You got to get your outfit ready for the year.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Love it. That's right.
Not that I need any more Georgia clothes in general, but that is like I have no self control over it. I have to get multiple every year. So
got to, man. Got to be ready to roll.
You got to put them in the rotation. You know, you got to have one for church, one for game day, one for the middle of the week. So
I wear them to work. I mean, people up here, I'm sure they get tired of seeing it, but literally Monday through Friday when I'm seeing patients, I'm wearing Georgia shirts during football season every day.
That's right, man. What I love about this is I love talking with like-minded people who are just fired up about Georgia football like we are. And when you get around and just discussing about it, I mean, it just gets to a fever pitch, man. Yeah. And that's why I was fortunate enough to go to Georgia's practice last Sunday. Thanks to, I just want to give a quick shout out to Heath Holland for inviting me to go to that. And Josh Fortner, man, I told Josh I would shout him out. Great friend met there, and Jason as well. So, of course, I knew Heath, and meeting those two guys too, just like these guys, man, on fire for the Dogs. Great people, man. So if you're listening to Josh, shout out to you on this, man. And it's time. It's time to get focused, time to get serious about it, man. Summer's over. Let's roll.
Let's do it. All right, so we got a really fun episode. Once again, we are doing the best college football environments that we have experienced. So let me lay down some ground rules for us. First of all, let me explain what we even mean by the best college football environments we've experienced. So we are not exclusively talking about the loudest, the rowdiest stadiums we've been to, though that may factor into it.
That'll be a factor.
Yep.
That'll be a factor.
We're including the stadium, the weather, the crowd, the energy, the sights and sounds inside and outside the stadium, the tailgating scene, the moment or the wait or the magic of the game. So all of these things factor into the best college football environments that we've experienced. A little disclaimer, Will Matthews. Will, you told me from the beginning, you said you need to add this at the very beginning of the show. You said part of what makes these environments so special is truly going in and dominating these opponents.
That's right, man.
It's when the Dogs win in these places. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every environment that we talk about, Georgia has actually won in.
Yeah,
there's going to be some that you hear where Georgia loses that we bring up. So just understand that. And then let me set some ground rules for us right quick before we really dive into this thing. So we'll do a snake draft, 3 rounds. The order will be Baylor, Will, Adam, and then myself. So we can't pick either national championship game. Both of those are off the table. Those are givens. Those are givens. The Rose Bowl nor the 2023 Peach Bowl. So if you don't hear those mentioned, just understand that those are all given.
What's understood doesn't need to be explained.
Exactly, baby.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to explain that. So if people were just sitting in their car just screaming why these games aren't mentioned, that is why they're not mentioned. We're going to go dive deeper because everybody knows what those games meant to all 4 of us.
Exactly. Each person has to pick a specific game from a specific year. Once one location has been picked twice, it's off the board. So, for example, let's say Adam here picks 04 LSU. I'm sure that's on your list somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I were to pick 2013 in Sanford. Both of those games were in Sanford. Sanford can't be picked again after that second pick. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I like it.
We're all good on
like
that?
it.
All right.
I like it.
And then two more things. You can't pick the same game and year as someone else. And then has to be a game you actually attended.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. I love it.
All that sound good?
I love it, man. Let's roll. Let's rock and roll.
Y'all ready? So, Baylor, you get the first pick. I probably should have put Will first because I think last
Did
year
Baylor
we
get
did
it last?
this.
I was sitting here thinking Baylor has got the number one pick 2 years in a row.
You know what? We're going to call
Switch
an
it up.
audible.
Switch
We're going
it
to call
up.
an audible and really
Give him
just
pick
throw
two.
the people off.
Put Will number one.
Yeah, Will,
There
you're
we go.
going
That's
number
right.
one.
Will, you get the number one spot, and then Baylor at two.
No
That's
pressure.
good.
No pressure.
Oh, I'm ready. I got my pick.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I was hoping you were going to, if I was going second, I hope you were going to take this one, but talked about kind of the simulating crowd noise and one time where it didn't work as well. 2017 Auburn is going to be my pick.
Ooh.
That's probably the loudest stadium I've ever been to. It's got a couple weird special things to me where Miko muffed a punt, a couple plays later, Jared Stidham scores, and I ended up on CBS that night. And
really?
Like the game's over. Like we had gotten a stop at the end of the first half. Oh my God, we got to come out. If we get a stop in the second half, go down and score. We're still in this game. We get the stop. Miko fumbles, and I'm gritting my teeth. I'm so upset. And then CBS camera finds me in the parent family guest section, and I'm just like so out of control, mad. My phone blew up for the rest of the night. Everyone's like, dude, are you good? And I'm just like, yeah. But yeah, talk about kind of some of the crowd noise. I think that was the loudest I ever played it during practice. I think I had it all the way up. I think I had every speaker on in the thing. And, I think what makes that one special too is what happens 3 weeks later. We can now look back on it and go, yeah, that was a pretty crazy environment, wasn't it?
That's right.
3 weeks later, it was pretty fun too.
That's right.
But I'm going to go 2017 Auburn off the top.
I like that. That's a good pick, Will. I
agree,
think that
man.
was on most of our lists. I mean, it was on mine.
Oh, what I remember about that day
Too,
is, obviously talk about there's just black voodoo magic in Jordan-Hare Stadium sometimes that comes out, and 2017 was definitely one of those times in the month of November that it came out for them. And I just remember the Auburn defensive line just dominating that day. That and Jarrett Stidham looking like Brett Favre.
Yeah, that's the loudest I've ever heard. Jordan-Hare. I'm gonna pronounce it the right way.
And Gus Malzahn ruined Kerryon Johnson's career during that span right there because he rode him, man.
Yeah.
Rode him.
Will, I think you were like 2 rows below me or something. We were all sitting right there in the player guest section. I'm almost positive you were right in front of me during that game, right? But
Mitchell was sitting literally one seat to my left, and he had left after the fumble. He was like, "I'm done. I can't do it anymore." And he got up to go to the concourse and get a drink.
So wait, did you?
I remember being on the bus ride back that night, and you had sent us that picture in our group text saying, "Look what just happened to me."
Yeah.
Will, did you stay for the whole game?
Awful. Yeah, I stayed for the whole one.
Wow.
I worked that game, and I was on the sideline, and I literally could not hear anybody to my left or my right. I've told everybody. I've been to quite a few stadiums in my life, and I tell everybody when it's a meaningful game and Auburn is at least competitive, I would argue it's as good of an environment as anywhere in college football.
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, that's
especially when the Dogs come to town because they hate us.
One of the hardest places to win is Jordan-Hare Stadium, and just there's something just that dark about that place. Mm-hmm. Just
somebody
dark.
sold their soul.
Magic happens there, and
they're doing the Iron Bowl there every year too. I mean,
exactly
every time.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, they sure did catch lightning in a bottle there at the end of that 2017 season because I really genuinely believe they could have played anybody in America that year in that stadium at that time, and they would have lost.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Yep.
But like Will says, it's good you can look back on that because at the time I was irate, distraught about it. But you can look back because of what Will alluded to, what happened in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in our first game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
It's true.
I still remember DeAndre Swift rounding that corner. But anyway, that might not want to spoil anything for anybody, possibly. So.
Yeah.
Kirby running step for step with him down the sideline on that one too.
That's right.
All right, Baylor, on to you. Good pick, Will.
So I can't choose the same season, correct? Just to make sure.
No. You can choose the same season. I'm saying you can't choose the same game of the same.
Okay.
Like you can't choose Auburn 2017.
I'm gonna stay in 2017 then, and I'm gonna go Notre Dame.
Ooh, damn it, Baylor.
And the reason for that, there was a bunch of reasons for that, but number one was it was actually my birthday that year. So literally everybody's asking me, what did you want for your birthday? What do you want for your birthday? And I was like, literally just the one in South Bend. But for us, games, you travel with me, so you remember. So normally when we would go on away games, we would usually leave on Thursday night after practice. We'd pack up the buses and drive everywhere. For whatever reason, for that game, we actually got to fly up on Friday morning. Flew up on Friday morning, went and hung out around the campus, went and set the stadium up, went back to the hotel, and then we all got on an Uber to the train station and took the train station into Chicago, which where we went and watched the Cubs play the Brewers, and it was 95% Georgia fans. I mean, we were calling the dogs in Wrigley Field, and if that just doesn't just get your blood boiling with excitement, I don't know what else will. And then, games, I remember you filmed that game. I was running the Cards that game, and I remember the picture you got up in the end zone with just literally over half the stadium red and black in South Bend, Indiana. And it's to this day, it's one of my favorite memories of any of the games I've ever been to. Obviously us winning the strip sack by Davin at the end of the game and Lorenzo recovering it was just icing on the cake. And also too, I mean, it was the start of that season where we went 8-5, and then we come back and, we had Chubb and Lorenzo and Davin and Sony and all of them come back. And, it just, that was the kickstart to the season. And then also Terry's catch was ridiculous. But I mean, I tell people this all the time too. I feel like a lot of people hate Notre Dame because they're not in a conference and they don't have to play the tough schedule that everybody plays or whatever you want to say. But to this day, I still say that their fan base was the nicest fan base out of any opposing fan base I've ever been to. I mean, we were walking around when we got to the stadium earlier that day on Saturday, walking around to all the tailgates and just enjoying the campus and everything. I mean, they were so hospitable, and honestly, they gave us Southern hospitality as much as anything else, as much as anywhere else that I've been. So, I'm going to have to go Notre Dame in 2017, that 2019 win on September 9th.
In the words of Lee Corso, good pick. That was an excellent pick, Baylor, and you stole my first one, but I couldn't agree with you more, man. That was absolute takeover.
Well, I mean, and what Baylor alluded to too, the bonus of that was the Wrigley Field takeover that Friday night, and just hearing, I mean, I was blown away sitting there. I think I was in the left center field bleachers right there, and just to hear the first pitch, everybody doing the Go Dogs and just chanting UGA, and I mean, Cubs fans having no idea what was happening, and then I felt like maybe later that night I could possibly die on the subway ride back, but neither here or there. That was great. That was it was a great experience in Chicago. Notre Dame was a good time, man, and
just the whole weekend, man. It was awesome.
It changed. Baylor alluded to the hospitality that they showed, and it changed my thoughts on Notre Dame fans here on out. It changed my complete view of what I thought, and then going to that campus and then talking to their fans, the tradition of it, man, it was special. And to me, I don't know, it doesn't feel like Georgia's the program has been the same since we left South Bend, Indiana. You feel like that game, at winning that game up there, it just took off. I think it hit another gear. The Texas loss, actually, in the Sugar Bowl, something else changed there. But I feel like winning that game in 2017 is kind of what catapulted this Kirby elite.
I just think about all the big games we had, and all the years prior, big away games we had that we would get close and we wouldn't win. I think first off my head is Oklahoma State. Was that 2010 or 2011? 2010.
2009.
2009, yeah.
I remember 2010 because a woman asked me, I was in the grocery store wearing a Georgia football shirt that day, and she asked me if I played. I was 15 at the time. I weighed 110 pounds. I was like, I'm a star receiver.
Yeah, that's right.
A kicker.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I'll never forget that day. Yeah, it was 2010.
So back to Notre Dame. Will, where were you? Do you remember? What was your experience like?
So I went. I flew up. I stayed in South Bend with one of my dad's high school buddies, I believe. But we stayed at his place up there, and it was just like you guys say, walking around campus was awesome. We stole an idea of theirs because those greeters that were so nice to us to say, hey, did you see the grotto? Did you see this? Touchdown Jesus is that way. We actually do that now, and it was because of that day. That was the one thing people came back from the Notre Dame game said was that they treated us very well, and they had these guys that would tell us they were tour guides, so that was pretty cool. And then I was in the family guest section for that one as well, and there was just there was a moment before kickoff, and I think that when you look at it on the CBS broadcast, they did a really good job of showing it. Well, you just looked over and you're like, yo, this is not normal. Like, we're in a legit top 5, top 10 program all-time stadium. And I think we legit had 70% of the stadiums was us. And the SEC chants start coming before the game, and you realize, like, okay, we're going to have a home field advantage. Like, we'd spent all week that week with me playing the crowd noise. It was for naught. We were able to audible. We could do whatever we wanted. We could do silent. We could do whatever we wanted at the line of scrimmage that night because we were playing a home game in South Bend, Indiana. But just honestly just one of the coolest sporting events I've ever been to, and probably will be one of the coolest events of the day.
I think one more thing to add to that, Adam, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but another thing that it just came to my mind that made that game so nerve-wracking going into it was Fromm's first true start.
That's right.
Because remember, Easton had gotten hurt the week before, and Fromm came in as a true freshman, and his first start was on the road at Notre Dame.
Yep, that's 100%
and he played pretty well, honestly.
Exactly right.
I mean,
he played great.
I think he had maybe one pick or two. But, I mean, made some great throws,
It was
too.
the one across the middle to the linebacker, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He had a key check down to Sony on a third down there on that final drive, and Sony made like 4 guys miss whatever in the backfield. I remember.
That game, was, in my opinion, too, that was Roquan's breakout game. I will never forget that bootleg where he literally went to the numbers and then turned around and went back and got Brandon Wimbush before he ever got back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. I had a great view that night because, once again, I was filming it, so I was literally – the last row in the end zone, and across from me was Touchdown Jesus, and down to the right was the band and all the Georgia fans. Literally, I mean, I got such a great view of it. It honestly looked like Georgia, Florida, but it was Georgia Notre Dame. It was literally a neutral site game, and when it was just. Go ahead.
I think if you can, Gaines, you should put your picture in on the actual video of this. Make sure you put that in here because then people will really truly understand what we're saying. They need to watch it.
And then when I really saw, like, oh my gosh, we have taken over this stadium, was the fourth quarter. We turned on the lights, the band hit Krypton Fan.
That's what I was about to say.
Oh my gosh.
That just gave me chills, and I have chills thinking about it. And I think every Georgia fan in that stadium got chills at that moment, realizing what we did up there.
Right.
You know? And I think what symbolized it too was winning that game and what the program was becoming. Mm-hmm. The second year of the Kirby Smart regime, man.
A couple more notes quick.
I love it. Let's go.
Baylor, you can attest to this because you worked this with me, but I'm telling you, Notre Dame, the campus itself is gorgeous. I mean, it is pristine. And I don't know if it was just the time we went, but man, it was really pretty. Also, their away locker room was immaculate.
It was brand new that year. That was the first year that they had just finished it.
Right.
Because on Friday when we went there and set up, and then we got to go into their locker room and everything too. It was cool. But it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally nicer.
That tunnel was tight going down the stairs though. It was like Auburn. A single file going down the stairs.
Yeah. But it was nicer than our home stadium our home, not stadium, our home locker room at the time. So
at the time, before we did the upgrades.
Yeah. So good pick, Baylor. 2017 Notre Dame. That was number one on my list too. So
love it.
I like it though.
Love it.
Mr. I'm throwing a curveball. Y'all ain't gonna guess it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Adam, it's up to you, man.
All right, man. Well, I think I'm gonna go back a few years before 2017, but to a game that I love, the Sugar Bowl.
Okay.
I'm going to start off by saying I think any Southern college football fan has a special place in their heart for the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Louisiana Superdome. That's what I always refer to. So I'm going to go with the 2008 Sugar Bowl. I mean, yes, the one against Florida State was special, but the 2008 to cap off the 2007 season, I think what topped that in the sense of, first off, I was a little bit older and understood it a little bit more, even though winning it for the first time in 2003. So I'm kind of doing a twofer here. Okay. In the sense of the 2003 was so special because it was the first time in 20 years Georgia had been to the Sugar Bowl, and to win that, you felt like you were back, right? But what I loved about 2008, man, was the blackout, against Hawaii, and an overmatched Hawaii team who had no idea who was coming. The media pundits kind of even gave Hawaii a chance, man, and that's a game.
Because Colt Brennan threw for all those yards that year.
Yeah. And I mean, you got your RIP, man, but Marcus Howard just bulldozing him. What sticks out is I remember there was a Samoan man, a Hawaiian man. He definitely came from the island that game. Yeah. And this is his first time around a raucous, just SEC crowd. And I mean, I remember he was a few rows behind in front of us. It was just him and his wife, or about three of them. And they're in the middle of this sea of black because, of course, it was a blackout. And when Hawaii and Colt Brennan first came on offense, man, of course, Georgia fans were getting rowdy. He turns around, God love him, as serious as could be, like trying to tell everybody to be quiet that they can't hear. Like, really thinking that would work and that needed to be done, and like couldn't understand why all the Georgia fans were being loud. But I think what I love about Louisiana Superdome and that 8:00 nighttime kickoff the Sugar Bowl always has is the walk to the Superdome, man. And that was back then. I've alluded to this before, and I think that's what I miss about college football now is that's back when bowl games, even if you weren't in the national championship, meant something. It meant something back then to win a Sugar Bowl. Yeah. And the excitement walking out of that stadium boat racing them 41-10, man. And then you're already thinking about 08, even though 08 was a letdown. But from that period after that game until the 2008 season, you know, it was this is the year. Stafford coming back, Marino coming back, man, and the defense ending 07 so strong. And that was just special. I love the mystique of the Sugar Bowl, and just it just feels old in there. You feel like just the ghost of just some of those great games from the SEC pay. I mean, you think about Herschel Walker dislocating his shoulder against Notre Dame. You just feel it, man. There's something special about that, and there's a haze in it, man. I want so bad to see Georgia play in a playoff game or a national championship in the Sugar Bowl, and we about had it this year.
And win it, right?
Yeah, win it. Yeah, so that's the venue I want to see them. And I think that game was special. The blackout was special, what it meant. But I love the Sugar Bowl. That is my favorite New Year's Six BCS, whatever you want to refer it to, venue.
Adam, I did not expect that one, but that's a good pick. I like it.
I was
very underrated.
That game as well, Adam. I think that was my first actual. Well, no, I went to a couple other bowl games, but that was like my first vivid memory. I think I was in 6th or 7th grade. We drove down that morning, went to the game, and I'm pretty sure. I don't think we stayed that night. I think me and Dad and we had a couple of friends with us drove back that night. But I was on cloud nine. I mean, obviously, you know, you had the blackout on bourbon shirts that everybody was buying before the game, and I had like 3 of them. And that's one of my favorite memories as well.
Will, where were you? You remember?
Oh God, I watched that at home. That was before I started traveling to bowl games. I had a buddy that I played baseball with that went to that one. I remember him telling me all about it. The blackout on Bourbon Street, came back, got the shirt he brought back for me.
That's right. Oh yeah.
Learn what that meant. That would have a little bit more of a double meaning when you go to Bourbon Street later in your life. But that's a great pick. There's a sense of some of these picks, like I said, told Joe before. I didn't start traveling until I started getting free tickets as much. But there's I'd say a jealousy meter, and that one for years is very high on there. Where I was like, man, I wish I could have gone to that one.
Me too, Will. There's a lot of those games. I didn't really go. I mean, I started going in 2009, and it was only because my sister was twirling. But then Adam here created a monster.
Well, just for the record, though, from everything that we've talked about these games from 17 to current day has. I mean, that Sugar Bowl has absolutely nothing on that, you know. But I mean, they're special. They're special, but
I know.
I mean,
that's a good
what
memory
we've experienced the past few years. But that was a great memory, man. And it's what it used to mean that a BCS win meant something. You felt like back then as a kid, you won a national championship in a sense.
Right.
I mean, teams played 2 Sugar Bowls since then, and honestly, like neither one of them, like the Texas one sucked. That was one of the worst nights of all of our lives.
Correct,
we were just miserable.
Yep.
I think it was the closest I got to getting in trouble for screaming in the family guest section. Then the 2019 Baylor game was just like a snooze fest. The stadium wasn't full. It was just like you said, Adam. They don't mean as much anymore. So back then though, like it was a big deal.
That's right.
So it was a sellout crowd. It was a full on experience. So.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean teams used to wrap their travel trailers in the whatever bowl game they won the year before, especially if it was a BCS bowl. Like I remember. Teams would have like even like still the stickers on their sideline and like the coach call them Cubbies and stuff.
Yeah.
It's special, man. I would love nothing more to see a big playoff game, national championship in New Orleans.
We might get one here pretty soon.
I want it. It's hard to believe we hadn't done it yet, you know,
I know.
But it's coming.
All right. Good pick, Adam. I guess it's my turn here, and I get back to back. That's what's great about it.
That is
I kind of set it up
you can
that way, but I'm going to go, and I know this is on Baylor's list. This is a game that, man, Georgia fans wish they could kind of forget here. But I'm going to go with 2012 at South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
We have talked about this game a lot on this podcast. We mention it. We reference it. Boy, what a night that was. I think it was Georgia 5, Carolina 6, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. I'm still getting knots in my stomach just thinking about it.
October 12th. No, October 5th, 2012.
October 5th, 2012. Both teams going in undefeated.
Right.
Mark Richt versus Steve Spurrier.
The pinnacle of South Carolina football.
It really was.
That was the apex.
Lattimore, Jeffrey, Connor Shaw.
Connor Shaw, Ace Sanders. Aaron Murray, Gurley. I mean, it was a really even matchup. So we thought. When we got in that stadium, man, we got boat raced. Several things about it. First of all, College Game Day was there. I think it was the first time College Game Day's ever been to Columbia, South Carolina. You got that feeling. It was just going to be a chaotic environment. Right at pregame, what happened, Adam?
No, I was going to let you do
No,
it.
no, no.
I was gonna let
You
do
tell it better.
Oh, no. I mean, you see it now. You've seen it so many times, and it's great every single time you see it in any sporting event, anything. But that's the first time I'd personally seen. I don't know if it was the first time it's ever been done, but the first time I'd seen a military homecoming where they have the family of a service member on midfield, and they have the guy overseas and talking to the family about wishing that he could be there, go Gamecocks, all this stuff. And all of a sudden they turn around and he's walking out of the end zone towards them. The place erupted.
Yeah.
Georgia fans, South Carolina fans, everybody. And it almost set the tone for the night.
Yeah.
And just the build up.
That was the beginning of the end, right?
That was the beginning of the end. I mean, the whole day in Columbia, I mean, you could just feel it, man. And then when Bakari Rambo let that INT slip through his hands.
Oh boy, that was
there.
early on.
That was
in the game.
that was the first drive, man. You could set the tone right there and pick it off. And then they marched down and scored. Connor Shaw, just Georgia. I mean, just killer in the sense of just the way. I mean, Marcus Lattimore, excuse me, just 3-year run he had against Georgia was just insane. But I mean, just nothing went right there. And against Spurrier, it just made you sick at that point in time. And
that was
loud.
That was my first.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead, Gaines. No, go ahead.
That was my first trip to Columbia, and boy, I mean, it was loud very early on. Space Odyssey got ramped up. Cocky the Gamecock out there. They do the reveal, whatnot. They play that stupid chicken thing, and then obviously Sandstorm. It was insane. I mean, the whole place was rocking, literally. I mean,
swaying.
You could literally. You and I were in the upper deck. Baylor, I know you were there in the upper deck too. You could look across the 300 level, and the entire deck. I'm not exaggerating when I say this either.
Not at all.
As God is my witness, it was shaking, literally swaying. I was very concerned about the structural integrity of
God, I hope South
upper
Carolina
deck.
has a good engineering school. God, I hope they have a good engineering school.
I was actually sitting on the Georgia sideline. I was sitting on the top row of the stadium.
Yeah.
Literally, on the top row, I could feel it moving.
Yeah,
but
it was.
I've been to Columbia twice. I've been to Williams-Brice twice. 2012 was the first time. And when Ace Sanders returned that punt, I mean, it was over from there. Like, I mean, we should have packed up and just gone home. And actually, I think we did leave early. But then the second time I went was my freshman year, 2014. The rain delay. We got the first down. They didn't give it to us. And so ever since that day, because of those two games and also just having to hear Sandstorm, I have sworn off ever going back to Columbia, South Carolina ever again in my entire life.
The South Carolina series. Oh, go ahead, Will.
No, sorry. It's also just the hottest place on earth.
Great point.
There's a picture from that game that I think does such a great job representing of what that just night was like as a Georgia fan. Jadeveon Clowney, Canary Skates got his ass whooped all night. It was so bad.
It was bad.
And there's a picture where he decided, screw it, I'm going to try to cut block him. And he just dove at his legs, and Clowney just leaps. And there's a picture where like Canary Skates is diving at his legs, and Clowney's 3 feet off the ground, jumping over him, just flying. And on that play, Aaron Murray, if you look at it, he looks up and he kind of just goes like, what? And then all of a sudden, Claudia Landon just collapses on top of him and sacks him.
Yep.
And that is, to me, anytime I think of the 2012 South Carolina game, I always think of that picture in particular.
That's it, man. I mean, the Georgia-South Carolina series from 2010 to 2014 was just it was electric. I mean, it was awful. It was.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, for them,
the 13 game.
I'm gonna say 13 game was
good,
awesome too. That almost made my list for this.
But the 10, 11, 14, 10, 11, 12, 14 game. I mean, losing 3 out of 4 to them that run. I mean, it was just.
We should have lost 14. Sick. My gosh, I'll never forgive Mike Bobo running a bootleg on 3rd and goal when you have the best running back in the nation. Give it to him twice. Anyway, I digress. So that is my pick there.
Good pick.
I will say
that was
this.
on my list.
Yeah. I will say
that was on
this.
everybody's list. It had to be.
I will say this: the loudest stadium I have ever been in to this day, and we've been in some loud stadiums.
I agree.
I think that was the loudest from kickoff
Start to finish,
to final whistle. The loudest for sure.
The only other one for me that would come close was Will's first pick, 2017.
I was about to say the same thing.
Those are my top 2, and I tell everybody, I'm telling, because people, especially being up here in Tennessee, everybody's like, oh, kneeling this, kneeling that. And I'm like, no, I'm telling y'all right now, I've been to so many games and so many stadiums. 2012 South Carolina, 2017 Auburn are the 2 loudest environments I've ever been in my entire life.
Clemson didn't even get close to getting that loud in 13.
No,
I mean, that 12 South Carolina game is still fresh in our minds when we went and, had some guys get suspended and hurt, and we, had Connor Norman at safety and all this good fun stuff, and we get beat. I just remember Sammy Watkins just trucking them. But anyway, let's not talk about that. But anyway, I mean, that stadium wasn't even as loud as not even close to being the top there.
So 2012, South Carolina off the board. All right. Next pick here, and then we're going to circle back. Adam, Baylor, and Will up next. But I'm going to go. I'm going to come home to Sanford Stadium here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take one of these off the board. And I know this has to make y'all's list. 2019 Notre Dame. Number 7 Notre Dame travels down to Georgia. It was a night kick. 75 degrees that night. Just beautiful, calm weather. College Game Day was there. I'll never forget the battle hymn that night, Adam. 60 minutes before kickoff, the entire student section was filled. I think the entire stadium was filled an hour before kickoff.
Yeah.
I shed a tear. I'm not even going to lie to you. I shed a tear. I was so proud of my university. I'd literally just graduated from Georgia that summer of 2019, and I was just elated. I don't know. It was a very special moment, very hyped. Tickets were like, what, $400-something just to get your foot in the door?
Yep.
Man, what a great night that was. Lots of fun. And then I tell you, that was also the grand reveal of the LED lights in Sanford, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time we lit up Sanford, technically,
Yeah, just awesome. And then one thing I love, too, was seeing Notre Dame's helmets. I mean, we saw them back in 2017, but I don't know, I guess it was with the white and our red jerseys and how it just kind of mixed. It was really pretty. I got to be honest. Really cool look there. And then we also set an attendance record, 93,246 people. There were definitely more than that, though.
Oh, yeah.
There were definitely. Some people did a $100 handshake.
There were people standing on the walk upstairs to go to the upper deck.
Exactly. Yeah. What do y'all remember about that game?
DeAndre.
So that was on staff still. So that was kind of like my first year being on staff, and like I'm going to most of the away games. I'm working the locker room for most of the home games. I was like part-time intern. And so my biggest memory of that game was we win. It was, awesome environment, like everything you just said. The video after the game, Kirby addresses the team, gives everybody the kudos or whatever. And then he points and says, turn it up. I'm the one he points at over in the corner. I turned it on and I played. I played Surf by Young Thug, and we went crazy in the locker room.
Oh yeah.
So that's probably like one of my all-time favorite college memories was that night, just being able to just play the music, and then next thing I know, the locker room just comes unhinged, and we just a party. So it was fun, man.
That's a good.
I was actually in Memphis for that game. Before that game, and it was my first year in dental school out there, and I told my parents, I was like, look, I don't care what the flight cost, what the tickets cost, like I cannot miss this game. In my opinion, it was arguably the biggest game in Sanford of my lifetime up to that point. And so I told him, I was like, I don't care what it costs. Yep. And it was right around my birthday time too. So I was like, I'm going, I got to be there. And it did not disappoint. I mean, it was, like I said, 2017 Notre Dame was probably my favorite, but 2019, that one was on my list too. It was so special.
Yeah. And the tailgating scene, I know we showed up at like 4 or something. Me and McKay, shout out McKay. He was going to be on this episode, but couldn't fit him in. Anyway, we went at like 4 in the morning to College Game Day to scope it out. It was just absurd.
It was a madhouse, man. It was a madhouse for sure.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to it?
I remember Cole Komet, their tight end, just being a freak that game.
Yeah. He still is a freak.
He still is a freak, but it was a great environment, man. The lights, everything. Like you said, just the pride, man, of having them come to Sanford, and just the welcoming we gave them, and just how loud it got. And it was special.
I think the problem is with this game, it's overshadowed obviously by what happened a couple weeks later. Back in Sanford Stadium at noon kickoff against an SEC opponent who will remain nameless.
Yep.
We're not going to talk about that game, but I think that game specifically overshadows the 2019 team, really. Not even just the Notre Dame game that year. So that does suck. But, man, if you just want to talk about true game day environments, it's hard to beat 2019 Notre Dame.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
It's funny, Adam, you mentioned the Cole Kmet thing, because I remember that night, I mean, it was him and Michael Meyer, who also was a first-round pick last year for the Raiders. They just, like, cooked us all night long.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny looking back on some of these nights when you're just so upset, like, why can't we stop the tight end? Why can't we stop the tight end? It's like, well, because they're two starting NFL tight ends.
That's exactly right, man.
To start those guys.
That's exactly right. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
I was about to say for until recently once we got Todd Hartley back, I mean, they were tight end you. I mean, it was every year they had a first round just stud at tight end every single year.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were freaks.
That's true.
Man.
All right, Adam. You're up next.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to do it to Will and Baylor. I think I'm going to go ahead and just take another one off the Sanford Stadium.
Oh, so this will be the last.
Just eliminate. I'm sorry. Love y'all. That's a rude way for me to treat our guests. But I have to do it.
Yeah.
I have to do it. We might maybe we'll
do an honorable mention.
We'll do an honorable mention to people. I'm going 2004 LSU. That game meant the world to me. Meant the world to 11-year-old Adam because of really, I mean, it was and for the people who might not know as much, that was a 2004 LSU team led by Nick Saban with Will Muschamp on staff and one Kirby Smart on staff as well. So they had a star-studded coaching staff, star-studded roster. They were defending national champions. They had beat Georgia in Baton Rouge the year before and absolutely dismantled Georgia in the SEC championship again. So we had lost to LSU 2 times the year before. It was Green and Pollock's senior year, Reggie Brown and Fred Gibson. Absolutely exploded, man. I mean, the hype for that game, 3:30 CBS kick in 03. The stadium was so loud. Their kickoff return guy, Holiday. No, it wasn't Holiday. It wasn't that Skylar Green. Yeah, maybe it was Skylar Green. But anyway, their kickoff return guy kneeled it on the 1 yard line. Instead he walked out of the end zone and kneeled it on the 1, and the place just exploded. It was great. Green threw 5 touchdown passes, just alternated between Fred Gibson and Reggie Brown, man. Smoked them 45-16. That's my first memory of Sanford just going bonkers. And I'll never forget because, I mean, when I was 11 years old, I mean, I still have Georgia football very high priority, and my wife will say probably think about it a little bit, and prioritize it a little bit too much. But back then, man, when you're a kid, I mean, you don't have to pay bills, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think about it a little bit. So I just remember the lead up to that week just being so nervous because I wanted to beat LSU so bad because I was so holding a grudge against them for since the loss in 03 and the SEC championship. So that was special. Always will be special, man. Think about Munson's calls during that day. I can remember listening to him on my headset that I still wear to these games at 11 years old that day.
Wait. You're telling me the headset that you've been carrying for years is the same one that you had in 2004?
Correct.
And I'm going to tell you people.
03. I got
And
a
it
picture.
still works?
I got a picture of it of me as a young
The technology peaked in 2004. The technology.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
Larry Munson radio headsets.
Oh, yeah. A AAA battery-powered AM/FM headset. All you need.
And it does still work. I can
forget, man. Who needs freaking stream stuff? When bad internet service.
We used to call these games sunshine games because the guy who played Ronnie Bass in Remember the Titans would show up. Someone in his family had season tickets 1 row behind us. And so anytime we played a game like this, like the LSU or the rivalry game, he would show up. So my family and I used to call them sunshine games, and Sunshine was at this one.
I love it.
That's really cool.
But that one was special.
Yeah.
Dang.
That was a fun game, man.
I can't
Rick's
quite.
best home win.
Really?
I think. To me.
I was
Most
gonna say
meaningful
games that
or
I was
just-
intense.
to
I
me.
don't remember it that
To
well.
me, personally.
I've gone back and watched it, obviously, but as far as me having vivid memories of that one, I was only 9, so I don't remember it.
Yeah, I can't
that
really
well.
recall either. I'm sure I watched it on TV, but I don't really remember it. I'm like you. I mean, that's the thing. I have to go back and just refresh my memory, even on games like I forgot what even happened in the 2019 Georgia-Missouri games. There's a lot of forgettable games like that, but obviously Georgia LSU 04 was not forgettable. It's just I don't really remember it from when I was little.
And Jamarcus Russell played some of that game for them. Future NFL first overall pick that was a bust.
Yeah.
He played against them
yeah.
the next year, too, in the SEC championship. But yeah,
Dang.
that was special. That was good.
Good pick, Adam. I like it. All right.
My favorite Sanford Stadium environment.
Yeah. Would you say it was the loudest you've heard Sanford? What was the loudest?
I thought it was. It was until somebody
Till something else.
Till
Yeah.
something else. We'll
Another game.
all talk
We
about
can't
that.
take
We'll
that.
all
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about
have
that.
to-
Yeah.
later.
All right.
We'll touch on it.
Baylor, you are up next, my friend.
All right. Well, since I can't take Sanford, I had a couple honorable mentions, but we'll save those for later. I'm going to go 2012 Florida.
Yeah.
I like it.
This one was it's kind of personal for me. It was my first Georgia-Florida game. Went down with my dad. It was so special. I still remember where we were sitting on I don't remember if it's the east or west side. We were on the Georgia sideline on the upper left corner. And I mean, that whole week going into that game, I mean, they were loaded. Florida was loaded. Malcolm Mitchell catching that slant and breaking the tackle and running is one of the most vivid memories I have of any Georgia football game. And especially, like I said, since it was my first Georgia-Florida game, it just made it that much more special, especially because we hadn't beaten them since 2007 at that point. They had pretty much
we beat them the year before 11.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
but I'm saying pretty much my entire childhood, Florida had just owned us. And so in my opinion, that was kind of the turning point of, okay, we're kind of getting back into being the Georgia-Florida rivalry like it should be, which is the Dogs on top. So it was really cool driving down the night before and getting in a hotel and waking up and, finally getting to experience why everybody calls it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party for the first time. Yeah. And then, like I said, the fact that we actually won the game, when Malcolm broke that touchdown, I mean, the Georgia side just absolutely erupted.
Yeah, went bonkers, man.
We were sitting beside each other, right?
Yeah, we were. That was fun. That was a fun one. They were ranked number 2.
Jarvis.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, but what was so special about that game was the first time since the 80s that we had beaten them in back-to-back games.
Years, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then
we didn't. Did we beat them in the 90s? I don't think we did.
97. Beat them in 97, and then we beat them in 04, and then we beat them in 07, and then 11 and 12 back-to-back. So that was it. Yep.
And 13.
Yeah, and 13. Yep, and 13.
Let's not talk about 14, 15,
That's
16.
right.
My gosh. Those are all three terrible.
Unfortunately, we might touch on it here in just a second, but
yeah. Oh my gosh. Baylor, I'm like you, man. That was a magical game because, I mean, we won 2011 and that was special. We were there for that one, but it really did feel like the tide turned in that rivalry 2012. It was just such a defensive battle, man, and you got to really learn to appreciate those. I think a lot of times, a lot of people out there, they want the high explosive offensive battle, shootout, whatnot. But what was so special about that one was just pure defense.
17-9.
17-9. Yep. We got a scorecard out then. Yeah. 11 players, 1 heartbeat. Man, they used to give out these scorecards right after you beat the team that you're playing. They would
for $5.
$5, and they would have like a huge stack of them literally right after the game.
It's amazing.
I'm like, where do you print
That's
these
what
things
me
at?
and Clark right now are looking at 5 Florida ones: 42-30 in 07, 24-20 in 11, 31-24 in 04, 17-9 in 12 that we just alluded to, and then 23-20 in 13.
Yeah,
and that's the last Georgia-Florida scorecard that's been produced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2012.
Yeah, another
was
play
special.
real quick that stood out to me there was y'all remember the Jarvis coming from behind and not making the fumble into the end zone and we recovered it.
Yeah,
that was pretty awesome too.
Yeah,
Jarvis was unbelievable that year, dude. He was so good.
He was, man. He was a Gator killer. He killed him in 11 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
And,
oh yeah.
That's what I think about when I think about Jarvis Jones is what he did in Jacksonville them 2 years.
Yeah. And what was great about that game, one last thing, was, I mean, that really was for the East there. Had Florida won, they would have gone on and played in the championship. And but Georgia, we took care of business and won out. And
that's back in that era, man, when we had an elite football team every 5 years.
Honestly. I mean, truthfully,
Rick teams were good and they were upgrade over the previous regime before, but very elite, special ones were every 5 years.
Yeah, literally. 2002, 2007.
That team was really, really good.
They were loaded, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Loaded.
In 2012.
And another reason that one, just one more thing. Another reason that one meant so much to me is, growing up here in Tennessee, I've always said Tennessee is my most hated team, like by far and away. When I finally went down, and that's just because we don't have a ton of Florida fans around here. That was my first time actually being around Florida fans. And so now when people ask me who my most hated team is, I still lean Tennessee, but when Florida's good, I think it's 1A, 1B with Florida and Tennessee because, I mean, that was, like I said, that was my baptism to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and those people are a different breed.
Oh, yeah, man, it'll always be Florida. And it is for what you just talked about. It was the area that we all grew up. Georgia didn't win down there. Georgia didn't win down there. Then you grew up with Spurrier absolutely hating Georgia. And that aspect of it, man. And then right now, it's the tightest turn that we got one of our own back, and we're dominating it and flipping it. And it's beautiful, man, to come full circle like that. And still, when you go down to Jacksonville, memories of that ball going through Terrence Edwards' hands in 2002 to end the undefeated season, and 2003 getting beat down there. I mean, the list goes on and on, ending the undefeated season in 2005 down there. It just – all the 08, 09 debacles, 10 losing in overtime. I mean, just stuff like that. And that's why these games going down here, when going to Jacksonville and doing what we're doing in the Kirby Smart regime now, is we'll never get old. Yeah. Never get old. And if it gets old to a Georgia fan, they didn't live through that.
Yeah.
They didn't live through
If you've never been to a Georgia-Florida game with the Row 60 crew, it needs to be on your bucket list because it is one of the best things to ever exist. Is going down and spending the weekend with them and their families down there. It is unbelievable.
What's
awesome.
so funny about it, Baylor, is we are literally the only stone cold sober people in a 5 mile vicinity, square mile. Yeah.
But probably acting like we're the drunkest.
Yeah. I mean, people look, when we go to these games, especially Georgia, Florida, or just any rivalry game, I mean, people probably think we are belligerent, but we're not. I mean, don't touch it, we just love a natural high. And hey, Georgia, Florida will produce that.
Can't do it at Georgia
Franklin
games. No.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, man. Good stuff. All right, Will, you got 2 picks back to back. What you got?
All right. I kind of want to keep it in the spirit of Florida a little bit because 2017 Florida was so great. Right. I don't know, though, because we talked about it a lot. We touched on it. I think everything y'all said kind of shares my sentiment with Florida. That was kind of like my first win there in 2017. I'm not going to go that way, though.
I'm going to stop you.
2018 LSU.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about this earlier this week. Yeah.
Just because if we're talking about the best college football environments we've experienced, we're talking about the best college football environments, win or loss aside, LSU is the college football environment. There is nothing there. It's LSU, and then there's everybody else. And to go in that stadium, and we were better, we were ranked higher, we were favored, all of that, and to then kind of upset us a little bit. And Baylor, I think you mentioned that there was Burrow's coming out party. The most important thing for me was they played neck in that game, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, there's 90,000 people screaming obscenities with children around. We're supposed to point that out. Who would ever do such a thing? But I just remember being like, okay, we're getting our butt kicked, but I did get to see neck live. I'll be able to forever say that. It's a college football bucket list item. I'll just say that about LSU. If you ever have a chance to go for a big game at LSU, there's very few sporting environments like it.
I got into the stadium early that game, so I was in between. That was after the year I graduated from Georgia and before I went to Memphis for school. And so I'd flown down there into New Orleans and drove to Baton Rouge that night before. And we got into the stadium early that day and, went and tailgating and stuff, which tailgating and everything down there is just completely different. I mean, they are a different – I said Florida's a different breed. LSU people, they are a different breed. But we got in the stadium early, and they played Callin' Baton Rouge by Garth Brooks before the game. And the entire stadium was singing it, and I literally had cold chills. And even though we got the crap beat out of us, when I left that stadium, and to this day I still tell everybody, if I didn't go to Georgia and I had to pick another SEC school, it would be LSU without a shadow of a doubt because of the environment that Death Valley is.
I played Callin' Baton Rouge 14 times of practice that week. Every single period.
Nothing worse.
I love that song. I wasn't a huge Callin' Baton Rouge fan before that week, and then it's on my playlist now because I was like that whole week. I was like, yeah, let's get ready for it. Yeah, when I'm back in my mind, I'm like, this is an awesome song.
Yeah. I'll never forget pulling in. We're trying to find parking, and oh my gosh, I saw just some guys. They had their trucks pulled up, tailgate down, right beside this river. And I'm not kidding you. They were just sitting there fishing on a game day. They're just fishing.
Just having a good time.
And I'm like, man, that's life right there. You are just living some life. If you're about to go walk into a top 10, top 15 matchup, I can't really remember what they were ranked, but if you're about to go watch a college football game on a Saturday and you're just out tailgating and fishing, just doesn't get much better than that. So I'm like you, Baylor. If I had to pick another school, gun held to my head, I would pick LSU probably. To go to attend and to be a football fan. If I had to do it, that'd probably be it.
I've never seen more live Gators on a game day than Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Yeah. So you're walking to tailgates and people are just like, hey, do you want to hold my gator? And you're like, wait, what? Yeah. I had an actual live alligator at a tailgate that day.
That's true, man. That game and then I thought, imagine if it was an 8 p.m. kickoff.
Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh.
It was.
That is a a night game at Death Valley. I don't care who's playing. That is a bucket list.
We'll get it. We'll get it now with the new ABC, night kickoff games at prime time and how the way the schedules are going to be. Good Lord willing, we'll make it there for a night game. I'm thinking. Now.
Didn't you tell me after that game that you had a run-in with an LSU fan?
Oh yeah, I did. I
Tell
had
us
several
about it. Come on.
run-ins with LSU fans there. That was the most chirping that was ever done in a state between
To
Florida, Tennessee, Clemson. Yes, it was those LSU fans because I was being what I am when I turn into a different person when I go into a Georgia football environment. I mean, who doesn't? That's what you do. That's what you do. And I was very confident in that game. Joe Burrow, whatever.
Yeah.
Really. Who was scared of Joe Burrow going into that football game?
Not me.
He thought he was okay, but it wasn't Joe Burrow then. It's like what y'all just said.
Like Will said, I talked about it earlier. Like his 2019 run, I will put every dollar I own that run started 2018 against us.
I agree, man.
That because after that game, he just took off the rest of the year. He popped off in the bowl game that year, and then he went on to put up one of the greatest college football seasons ever.
Yep. But that particular day, man, yeah, it was the fake field goal attempt.
Oh my gosh.
That was I remember them just getting them to third and short situations, and they would just bully us in the line. But it was just one of those games. A lot of Georgia fans came, man, and I got chills when we ran out of the locker room because I thought we're about to put it on.
Yeah, we had 25,000 fans there.
When I said put it on and win the game, and I knew we weren't going to go in the Baton Rouge and just smoke them. But anyway, like we did in 2008, that was. Anyway, it was a special. It was a special environment. But yeah, I got into it when I got a speeding ticket in BFE, Louisiana, coming back from that game too. So it was just a bad time. Chili's, we went to eat at Chili's afterwards. They got our order wrong. It was like for 2 hours waiting on food from Chili's. Just not a good day. Not a good day. I try not to remember that.
But a great environment.
A good environment. Great call right there. You're exactly right, man.
What else you want to add, Will?
Yeah, so there's 2 times when working for the team where I had to really bite my tongue and be like, "Are we sure, guys? Are we really freaking sure?" It was the fake field goal because obviously you don't just do these things on a whim. So you practice them, and it was that, and you sit there and be like, "We're gonna flip to we'll flip it to Rodrigo. That's fine.
That's right. Yeah, why not?
Why not? 98. Let's make him a hero." And then I think we all know the 2018 SEC championship game when we snuck a 5-star quarterback out there, and we practiced it every day. And after every day, I remember laying my head down that night and thinking to myself, "That's not going to work."
Yep.
And it didn't work. Anyways,
I don't know. Will. Hold up.
Saban wasn't going to sniff that out, was he?
Yeah.
This is when you run Justin Fields.
Well, I don't know, man. I was filming that game in the end zone, and I had the backs of the punters, and I'm not kidding you. It was there. I promise you it was there, but they made a motion at the last second, of course.
It was there till it wasn't.
Yep. Yeah. But
it didn't work. But
no.
Yeah, but the fake field goal with Rodrigo, that was a question.
Early in the game too.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a desperation time.
Yeah.
But then it kind of tells you, oh man, are we like not feeling like we're going to be able to move the ball against this LSU defense, man?
And
against this Dave Aranda defense.
Yeah.
Great.
That was early Kirby, man. Early Kirby every now and then would try to make the almost like the Disney movie play where it'd be like, all right, we're trying to make this special championship DVD. This is where the DVD is going to start type play. And it would be
true. Oh my gosh.
Just line it up and play ball, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next pick here, I'm gonna go to Knoxville. I'm gonna pick Tennessee. I'm gonna do 2017 Tennessee. Gaines, which you mentioned earlier, there is nothing better in a college football environment than taking your team on a road to a 90+ thousand stadium and kicking their behind for 60 minutes. And we whooped them on that day. I mean,
that's right.
From the jump, we intercepted the first play from scrimmage. Yep. I don't think they really crossed the 50 multiple times that game at all. I just remember the environment. They checkerboarded it. I remember it was very, very cool. It was loud. And shout out to Tennessee fans. They were not good that year, but they weren't good for a long stretch of years. But they still show up. They do their little pregame routines. They let you get a taste of like, hey, here's what we're like when we're good. Then the game starts. We started whooping them, and then they just slowly funneled out for the next 60 minutes. Then you get to watch them like leave out. And at that point, I think we were 7-0 on the year, and they started to realize like, oh crap, like we're really, really good. We're not just good. Like, we're beat Tennessee 41-0 in Neyland Stadium on CBS good.
Yeah,
that's right.
So 2017 Tennessee is my my last pick.
Brilliant,
That's why
Will.
that picture's still hanging up in my man cave. That's my best
Great
friend.
call. Great call.
I have it up there so every time he comes over, it's just a little reminder.
Great call. Great call.
Yeah, I like
Great
it,
call.
Will. I remember walking out of the stadium after we had beat them. I think the score was, 41-0? I mean, we shut them
Yeah, it's
out.
41-0.
Yeah, we shut 'em out.
41-0.
They didn't-
And we were walking out of the stadium, and I'll never forget it. There was a guy who had a brown bag over his head with the eyes cut out there. And he just looked defeated. I mean, you have to if you're going to put a brown bag over your head. But that was just amazing. And you're right, Will. That I will say this: Neyland Stadium is the best place to go on the road and win. It is.
I was juiced after that.
Oh yeah.
That's when I.
That's when that happened. Oh yeah. Oh man, I'm telling you, there's a run in every single time.
Every time.
Every single time.
Except
last year in 23.
That's
We
right.
didn't have a run in up
right.
there.
It was also awesome in 2017 because that was also when Pruitt had gone to Tennessee. And I kept that was his first year there. And I kept trying to tell all the Tennessee fans, I'm like, he is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. He has no business being a head coach.
What year?
And sure enough, 2017.
I thought that's the game that got Butch really going.
I thought Pruitt was he 2018?
was Bush.
Yeah, but it was,
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
and they all run together. They're all
They
41-14, 41-10, 41-10.
What's the 2019 up there too?
That's right.
Oh, 2019
that
was
good.
sweet. And 21.
That
and
Tay Crowder
23.
hit
21.
on Brian Mayer.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember we
I
got
will
chewed
say,
out by a
you know,
lady?
Yeah.
Small compliment to a big rival. The Vol Navy is cool. I got to the 2019 game. I actually got a chance to, I don't know how, but one of my buddies had a friend of a friend that was having their tailgate in the Vol Navy. So we went and did the full tailgate on the water.
Yeah.
That particular Tennessee fan wasn't the worst. So that was a nice change of pace.
Few and far between.
But no, the Vol Navy is just a very cool way to tailgate a college football game. Similar to what I think Washington has it as well. Getting on a boat and then drinking a beer while you're getting ready to go cheer your team on is just a cool way to get ready. So
Yeah, it is a neat thing they do.
I hate them, but every time I walk by, I'm like, wow, that's a cool setup.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, I enjoy going to that game.
Yeah.
I enjoy going to that game and kind of the traditions we have up there, man. I mean,
And it's just so cool. I mean, it really is on the side of a mountain. Neyland Stadium, and finding parking there is awful, but I mean, walking to the stadium, it's really fun. And it's a pretty, I will say this, I never really saw it until a couple of years ago, the full campus. It is a very pretty campus. I'll give them that. It's hard for me to say, but it's pretty up there in Tennessee. You won't even give them that, Baylor?
don't give it to them, Baylor. Don't give it to them. Don't give them anything.
Tennessee's a pretty state.
That's right. Don't give them anything.
No, it is. Listen, Southeast Tennessee, there's nothing better in my opinion. I love it, but no, I mean, just alluding to what y'all are saying, like that. If you ask me, Baylor, you got to win one game a year. Who is it against? If Georgia goes 1-11, I need it to be against Tennessee, and preferably I need it to be up there.
I like it.
Didn't Tennessee, going back to this 2017 game right quick, didn't they wear their smoky grays then? Is that right?
That was they wore their smoky grays in 2017, and they wore the black with the white helmet in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
That's right.
That's
They
true.
did. Oh,
They used to wear the smoky grays every year against us, though, because I remember back because
They wore it back in like
Tennessee game used to
2015
always be
too,
on
right?
my homecoming in high school, so they used to wear it every year.
Every year they would bring
I
the
think they wore
gimmicks.
the 2013 game as well.
They did.
And 15 and 17. I think they wore it every year.
You know, that 13 game, since we're just now just chatting, took
That
some
was
years off
was
my
that
life.
2012. Adam, was that 20? No, that one. That was 2011.
Was the 13 game was the overtime when Pig Howard fumbled in the back of the end
Yes,
zone.
at the back end zone. Yep. That's
And everybody went down, and Eric Murray was all by himself and just took the team on his shoulders.
Yeah,
and
he had
somehow won
that
that game.
ridiculous run. He ran like 80 yards on that scramble.
I mean, that's when snipers were just picking off all our receivers on the Neyland Stadium.
Then
turf.
Marshall Morgan, ice in his veins, baby, nailed that kick. Oh my gosh. And that place just went silent. And then I heard Adam, he said these words, "We are a team of destiny." Do you remember saying that, Adam?
I do. Then we lost to Vanderbilt shortly after.
And several other teams. Oh my gosh.
The emotions got to.
And then we were such a team of destiny that the prayer at Jordan Hare happened too. So yeah, we're definitely a team of destiny.
That 2013 team. Well, y'all, we're going to have to, next year or something, we're going to have another episode, special episode, where we dissect the 2013 14 and 15 Georgia football
What
teams.
a 3-year run.
That was a very interesting turn of events from 2012. And we're going to have to dive into that one day because
I think 2015 is one of the most miserable Georgia football seasons I've ever had in my entire life.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well,
For sure.
the biggest low as a Georgia fan to me was probably after losing South Carolina to start 0-2 and 11, coming off of a 6-7 2010 season and like a 7-6 2009 season, and then going over to but oh yeah, oh my.
Yep.
We were the worst 10-3 team in the country in 2015.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Baylor, to you. Last pick here,
Well,
Baylor.
Yeah, I can't not have a Tennessee game. So I'm actually going to stay in Neyland with Will, but I'm going to do last year. And my reason for that, a bunch of different reasons. One is, and again, this is just because I live up here, but it does not matter how much better we are than them. I go into every single Tennessee week a nervous freaking wreck. Like I can't sleep at night. I have knots in my stomach, even though I know what's going to happen. It's just the one game that I am on pins and needles all week. And so actually funny thing was, if you talk to any of my Tennessee friends, they'll tell you that the first play of the game last year was the loudest they've outside of 04 Florida is the loudest they've ever heard Neyland Stadium in their entire life. And I actually was I had to handle some other stuff before getting some people their tickets. And so I actually was walking in as he broke that run. And so I didn't get to see it. All I did was hear it as I'm walking up the concourse, and it was deafening. I mean, that place was on fire. And then it was just, the dogs were like, all right, it's time to go on route. And we handled business. And it was, the change in the fan base from the loudest it's ever been to you could hear a pin drop was just, it was wonderful. And so I'll go, and that's just, again, Tennessee is one of those games that it just means a lot more to me personally. It's one of those that I will always cherish a victory over them. But last year, just the first play to then just an absolute beatdown after that, it was wonderful.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, Baylor, you're exactly right. And like Will alluded to earlier, do y'all have to just pinch yourself sometimes when you're walking out of these rival SEC stadiums after just demolishing another one of them, just thinking, I can't believe we're here.
Yeah.
You know, this is a dream. This is what we dreamed of and what we hoped for when Kirby Smart was hired in December of 2015, and it came to fruition, you know.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it never gets old. It never gets old.
Yeah, Baylor, going back to that play, what was it? Jalen Wright took that thing all the way to the crib. I do think
he went untouched. He did not get touched.
No, he didn't. But I tell you, that was the loudest I've ever heard Neyland by far, and it's not even close. And I've been there when it's gotten loud, but I remember it was you, me, Adam, all sitting together, and McKay. And
McKay was with it too.
yeah. And I just remember I turned to this guy right behind us. He was a Georgia fan, and he was, getting a little frustrated, complaining, whatnot. I mean, because it was the first play from scrimmage, and they took it to the crib. But I turned to him and I said, "Look, man, they got to play us for 4 more quarters." And sure enough, we came back and took care of business. But I'm telling you, it was a rowdy environment. That's one of the loudest I've ever heard Neyland ever.
Yep.
Shout out Dylan. Shout out Marcus Rosemary, Jack Saint.
Yeah.
Shout out Carson, because they were freaking surgical all afternoon.
For sure.
All afternoon. But no, I mean, it's that game, it was awesome. And I try not to talk crap, but like you said, you got the video of me waving goodbye, because after that first play, and I'd heard a little chirping throughout the week, and so it was it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, you heard Tennessee fans chirping
Surely not.
before the game? No.
a little bit.
Surely not.
Couldn't have happened.
No, couldn't be.
Will, what do you remember about it?
That was the moment I realized Carson Beck was a first-round pick and why I had this Heisman Trophy ticket.
Yeah, I love that.
Nice.
That's
Because
right.
like Baylor said, he was surgical that afternoon.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I remember from last year. And then the first play of the game, obviously.
Yeah.
Mine's Dylan Bell.
Dylan Bell, yeah, with the little pass, the reverse
Halfback pass
Yeah.
to Marcus. But then also, he had the ridiculous catch on the sideline. He had the crossing route for the touchdown too. I mean, that was his coming out game.
That's exactly. Yep.
And then Dolly was there, Peyton Manning. I mean, they really did play
They
all
rolled
the
out. I mean,
gimmicks.
they brought everybody but Morgan Wallen.
No, he was there.
Oh,
I
was he
don't
there?
think he was I mean,
He
obviously
wasn't part of like the entertainment, but he was definitely in the stadium.
yeah.
Forget. I'm glad.
I'm pretty sure he was up there with Vitello.
I mean, there couldn't be a better representative for the University of Tennessee than Morgan Wallen. So
Baylor likes Morgan Wallen.
I love him. I'm actually going to see him in Neyland in September.
There you go.
Come on. Please tell me it's not a Saturday night or something.
There's
they wouldn't do that.
there is
Sunday night.
one
Sunday
tune that I like when he sings about just sunburnt Silverado. That one.
That's
I like
it.
that one.
Yeah.
I know the one that kind of has a good little beat, and then this last thing I'll say, when we'll get back on top, is the one if I have one more silver dot. I kind of like the little riff in that. It kind of sounds a little old school, a little bit. That boom, boom, boom. You know,
I guess.
I'm talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a Morgan
But
Wallen
anyway,
fan at all.
so no, great pick, Baylor. I loved
is a
it.
good
That
pick.
was fun, and it being the next last game of the year, cold in November. I love now the past 2 times we've been up there, it being in late November, mid-November.
Yep.
It wasn't cold last year, though. I mean, I was
That's
wearing
true.
just like a long sleeve T-shirt and fine. But I think just one more thing talking about
21
Tennessee
was
in general,
freezing.
though. I used to get a lot more nervous playing them earlier in the year because, I think one of the things that has changed with Kirby, and I think you guys would agree with this, back in those Rick years, our 11-on-11 ones could go against anybody. The problem was as the season went on and we started getting injuries or guys started getting banged up, that was when we never had the depth that we have. And so, I think that's one of the greatest things about Kirby now is when we go into late season games, we have the depth, and I don't necessarily stress if we're missing a guy here or a guy there as much as I did, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Good point.
And I mean, that even goes back to 22 when Tennessee was their best season in 15 years. I mean, had we played them earlier in the year, I'm not saying they would have beat us or anything like that, but I mean, it could have been a different game compared to when they had to play us later in the year. So I just find it funny how them and Oliver complained about having to play us when they played us, and we switched and it still hadn't mattered. They still got to play us when they play us. So.
Yeah. Good point there, Baylor. All right, Adam, the last pick here.
Man, I think I'm going to have to go December 31st, 2010, Memphis, Tennessee.
Are you serious?
The raucous environment of the Liberty Bowl against the Central
my
Florida
gosh.
Knights. I'm just kidding. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. That was, if we were talking about one of the most miserable moments of my life, that would be that, and then the Gator Bowl in 2013.
Oh, when it rained?
Yeah, well, New Year's Day 2014 to cap off the 13th season. Yeah, both of them it rained. Both of them. I mean, the good Lord knew it was just terrible days. It was just, both of them. But anyway, no. In all seriousness, I'm going 2007 Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Nick Saban's.
I wasn't there, but I remember where I was sitting when I watched it.
2007 Nick Saban's first SEC game. The only time I've ever been to Tuscaloosa was that day. And, I mean, the hype around the Alabama fans, and rightfully so, was Saban was going to come in and save the program from where Shula and Mike Price and all those have just ran it into the ground, And I think that game was so special because the Alabama contingent was so fired up for Saban. And, of course, Saban did go on to be, but it was before that, John Parker Wilson was their quarterback from Hoover High School, that had their Alabama guy out there, Stafford, sophomore. I just remember that game just being so nervous and just how loud it was. And then there's the overtime play to Mikey Henderson, the one and done, Scott Howard's best call, without doubt, his best call.
Maybe his only best call.
Did you guys know during that call on the TV broadcast, I think it's Mike Patrick is his name. So Scott Howard, a great call, one and done, baby, whatever. Yep. The TV broadcast, we're in overtime. That play's about to happen. And Mike Patrick just goes like, what is Britney Spears doing with her career? I mean, seriously. And I can't remember who's doing color commentating. He's like, why does it matter?
Why does it really matter? I wonder what Britney is doing.
Yeah, I wonder what
Britney Spears. Yeah,
if y'all don't know what we're talking about here, if you're listening to this and you're like, what are they talking about? You need to go to YouTube and just type in
Britney
2007
Spears.
Georgia, Alabama, and listen to it right before they cut into overtime. Yeah, it's
just
funky.
Google Georgia, Alabama 07 Britney Spears and something will pop
It's
up.
bizarre. It's one of the most bizarre, like take the Georgia outside of it. Like if I was a unbiased fan, it's one of the most bizarre broadcasting things that's ever happened in sports, in my opinion.
Because I had that game. This is back before TiVo, even before TiVo, right? Definitely before what we got now. So that game was recorded on a VHS tape.
Oh, really?
Yep. Got on a VHS tape. I sure do.
That's old school, man.
I sure do, man. You have to hit the tracking on the button, to kind of clear out the static and the fuzz a little bit there, I remember. But, so.
Did you override it with any other game? Like that VHS?
No. It got its own tape.
On tape.
with his
It
own
was
label.
a one and done.
With his own label. That one and done.
We need to
One
break it out.
and done, baby. Oh,
You know I can convert that to digital.
Oh, we
now.
need to do that. Then.
We need to do that because I
But
can't find a really
that
good
was
high
fun
quality
game,
one.
man. That was a good environment. Good win.
Yeah.
Good win.
I'll never forget. I was sitting in I was living at my parents' house at the time, but I was sitting in our ottoman chair or whatever, and I'll never forget Stafford drops back. I just see the ball leave his hand going to the left, and he catches it, and I just go absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I was
when
at my buddy Zach Stickney's birthday party before he went to the dark side and went to Alabama.
dang.
Well, his brother Drew went to Georgia, so they were 1 for 2.
There you go.
We'll pray for him.
50%.
We'll pray for him.
At 500.
Yeah, I was at a friend's house as well. I think his actually birthday party too. That Saturday, and we're all huddled around the TV watching it. And those are the good days. You didn't really have to worry about anything in life. Just going to school, going to elementary school at that, and just watching football.
Yeah, and that's
Gaines, could you imagine your fandom now if football would have been then what it is now? Like, could you imagine how much would it be? Like, I feel like it would be even worse.
You know, I don't think it would be. And the reason I say that is, had we won growing up and like won serious championships, I don't think we would have ever gotten that craving that we had, that I had at least from around 2011 to 2021, right? Like that wouldn't have existed.
Fair.
So
Going through it, I guess, makes you appreciate it that much more now. But
Exactly.
It's the adrenaline rush and how personal it is. How personal it is to hate other states,
Yeah.
other universities, other personal things that you have with fans of the other school.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it special. That's what's unique about college football. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you're a Braves fans, how many Mets fans do you know that you just hate that live in Queens, New York? You know what I mean? But how many Clemson fans that we're friends with, but you know, have that
don't hate
banner
them.
with, don't hate them personally, but we hate their school and their alumni, or you know, or Tennessee fans, or Florida. And that's what's so unique about Georgia is there's so many that's so easy to hate. And I love the fact that we have so many of them that are so easy to hate.
Well, they all hate us
hates
too.
them all too, and I love that they hate us too.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it special. And the what if, man, the adrenaline rush and the what if that wore them, and then it finally came to what if became a reality. You know, and that's what makes it special. That's why you always go back for it, and that's why every fall, every Labor Day weekend that comes up, you want more. You can't get enough. And
For sure. Yep.
man, they got in a fight practice yesterday, and I about went crazy.
Did
Loved
they really?
It. Loved it. Just pads popping, baby. I mean, just it's football season, baby.
Yeah. We saw
Love it.
we saw some good fights
Love it,
in our
baby.
time, didn't we?
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's
and
nothing, y'all. I loved it, man. I was like, this is
It's always a good sign, man. It means we're
that's right, man. Got some violence. Got some violence out there.
Baylor,
Love
do you
that.
remember the one
Guys getting
between
physical.
two coaches? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's back in 2015. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
I want to bring that up, but I feel
Thomas
like
Brown and Jeremy Pruitt?
I don't think it was Pruitt. I know it was Thomas Brown and somebody else.
I thought the rumor was Brown. That's got to be on another episode, separate one. I thought Brown was about to absolutely destroy Pruitt. When, like,
He would
kill
have.
him.
Maybe it was Pruitt.
Yes.
I don't remember who it was. I know it was Thomas Brown, but it was between a receiver and a
It really
corner.
might have been Pruitt because that might have been the rumor has it that Pruitt went to Rick after the fact.
Well, yeah, that would make
I have
sense.
to cut this whole.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We're spreading rumors here. Gosh, we're going to taint somebody's career.
Wait. You're going to taint Jeremy Pruitt's
No,
career.
Jeremy
Wait a minute,
Pruitt already
Has
tainted
Jeremy
his
Pruitt
career.
not tainted anything? Like
Yeah.
I was about to say, Row 60, this podcast is going to cast a shadow on Jeremy Pruitt's career.
No.
Put a black
We may
eye
on
his
Shane
sword.
Beamers. You remember what? We had to cut something. Never mind. We're getting off on a huge tangent here.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Got it.
We're having a great time, y'all. I'm going to end this
great.
one. This is my last pick, and then we'll do some honorable mentions because there's a lot. There's a lot that you probably, if you're listening to this right now or watching, you're probably like, how have they not said this one?
Yeah.
And the two location rule that I put earlier, that's probably going to throw us off a little bit because there's a lot of good Sanford games on here. But I'm going to kind of break my own rule because this was at Sanford. I said I was going to throw y'all a curveball here, but hey, this is my show and Adam's.
That's true.
So we
That's
make
true.
the rules,
That's
and
true. It's your show.
look, rules are meant to be broken, okay? But let me clarify: this is not a game in the fall. This we're going back, boys, to 2016 G-Day.
I love
On
it.
my list.
Really?
I love it.
Really?
I love
Yeah.
it. I love
On my
it.
list.
I'm telling
I
y'all.
love it. I love it.
That was such a special moment in Georgia football history. Ludacris was there. Yep. Kirby called out
And his
all the
special
Bulldog
demands.
Yep. Kirby called out everybody in the Bulldog Nation to come, pile in Sanford Stadium, fill it up for spring game and for G-Day.
He did.
And oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. Baylor, you and I worked that one. And we got in there, man, right before kickoff. And oh my gosh, I mean, it looked like an actual game day. You could look up in the 600 levels. Yeah, it was completely filled. And I know Ludacris he brought some people in, and
He brought a contingent.
He did bring in a contingent, but I mean, even people on the bridge, up on the stairs, like in the concourses, they were just filling it out. And I tell you, man, that was one of the most chilling moments of my Georgia Bulldog fandom right there, was that 2016 G-Day.
The stands, the stairs going up to the 600 level, I've never seen them obviously that packed. But, I mean, people are just hanging off of the stairs. It was unbelievable. And I'll never forget, and I wish I could still find it. I guess you go back in the archives and find it. The Georgia football, the media team, put out a video of that day, and you hear Bob O'Reilly playing in the background, and it's Kirby Smart putting on his headset at midfield.
Yeah.
Like, starting off, here we go. And I'll never forget watching that video and just the cold chills it gave. Because everybody, I mean, it's a spring game, and the stadium sounds like it's Tennessee's in town, you know? And it's just, you hear Bob O'Reilly in the background, and you hear, and then Kirby's, adjusting his headset for the first time with his Georgia visor on and putting on his headset, man. And that was a special video. That's one of my all-time favorite videos put out by Georgia media.
Yeah. Are you talking about the one where he says,
no, this is him live. It wasn't, it was the sound that was on the board, but it's on the field. He's at midfield and the stadium's going crazy and he's getting his headset to wear for the game, how he does. And it just showing him, and it's special. I wish I could find that one again.
Well,
that was a good one.
What was really cool about this entire experience was this was back to Frank Martin. Shout out him. He's a DGD. Excellent hype video creator. I mean, he created some really good stuff in his time at Georgia. But right before Bob O'Reilly started playing, you would hear Kirby say, Dog Nation, please rise, or whatever he says. It's time to attack the day.
It still does it.
And it still does it, right. And when he lifted his head up, oh my gosh, dude, I got chills from the top to the bottom of my body, and it was awesome. That was such a great day.
So it made my list as well because Brandon Walker from Barstool has a saying that I've always thought when I've listened to him talk about college football that I love. It's like, hope is the greatest currency in college football.
I love that.
That day represents probably the most hopeful day we've ever had as a program. We got 93,000 people to show up to watch us play a glorified 7-on-7 game, and we treated it like a full-on game day environment. So that made my list just because I remember that that's the moment where it was like, okay, this is something here. We had been recruiting better, and then all of a sudden we had the fan base support come back, and it was like, okay, we made the right decision here.
I love what Will said right there. It was hope. And all four of us were thinking the same thing that day. And what we were thinking and what we were dreaming about is what we have lived in reality the past 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
We thought we wanted Kirby Smart, and why we wanted Kirby Smart was to make this Alabama East. And he did it.
Yeah.
And he did it. And all these other schools have hired Saban disciples hoping for the same thing and never got it, but Georgia has happened. And everything we thought about that April Saturday of what was going to happen, what we dreamed about happening, has happened.
Yeah.
Has happened.
Yep.
Has
Not
happened.
once, but twice.
Yes,
and we built
twice,
a
and
literal dynasty.
other memories of the Rose Bowl and Orange Bowl and all these games, man. I mean, it happened. I mean, it's amazing just how blessed we are. And looking back on that time, it happened. But everybody, that game represents. Will said it best: the hope that everybody envisioned that day when he was hired, and the unrealistic expectations some might have thought back then that came reality.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing too, though. Is I mean even the seasons that we haven't got it done. I mean we're literally one play away or one drive away from being right there again. I mean we went from going to Atlanta hoping to win just to get to the Sugar Bowl to like now we go in with expectations since 17, honestly, of like, okay, we should be in Atlanta competing for a playoff spot every single year.
Well, man, I mean, I don't count the COVID year just throw 2020 out the window. Throw 2020 out the window. Every year since 2017, we've gone into conference championship weekend with a chance to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
every year.
That's true.
That's pretty great.
That is a crazy thought. All right, boys, that wraps it up. But we would be remiss if we didn't talk about, at least mention, some games that didn't make the list. I'm also curious. I want to know from the people out there who had the best list. So you should comment if you're on YouTube.
And what your list would be?
Yeah, what your list would be if you had to pick 3 that you've experienced in your lifetime. But let's start with some honorable mentions. Will, lead us off here. What didn't make the list? Give us a couple, if you will.
All right, so a couple of real ones, and then I had a couple ones that I thought if I wanted to add some humor to my spin on it, I would do that.
Okay.
But I think the real ones, 2017 SEC championship game,
great.
The Swift run, the moment like it clicked in your head when you were like, wait, we're going to the playoffs.
Yes, we just won that championship.
And Gaines, we talked about it all year. Where I'd walk in the office and Gaines would look at Baylor and I'd be like, guys, what if we won the SEC championship game and went to the Rose Bowl? Thoughts?
Literally
every single day. And then all of a sudden that moment comes true and you realize like, oh, we better get ready to pack up our stuff and go to the freaking Pasadena. So that 2017 SEC championship game, if I had a chance to do some of the home games, 2022 Tennessee, 2022 Arkansas, or maybe 2021 Arkansas.
It was 21 Arkansas.
The noon kick, because that just, the stadium was just buzzing by noon.
Yeah.
And then I had the 2015 Florida tailgate when I told everybody that Baton Bowder was actually good and we're going to run this split offense where we're going to run our quarterback. Yeah, that was a great environment until we ran him 0 times that afternoon, and I was a liar. Then the last
it's okay, Will, because that game was the reason that Kirby Smart is now the head coach at the University
of
Georgia.
There we go. That's
the last one I had is the home ride, the ride home from the 2015 Georgia Tech game when I realized there was no going back. We had to fire Mark.
Yes. God, didn't we win that game?
Yeah,
10 to what was it? It
was
13-7, I think.
Yeah, 13-7.
It was awful.
Yeah.
When we went to overtime with Georgia Southern that year, I was firmly like, it's time. We need to move on.
26-24 Nicholls State.
A lot of our fan base didn't want to admit it, and a lot of our fan base was doing the Dan Mullen thing or whatever. And the Tech game happened, and me and my dad rode home being like, it's happening. There's no getting around it. And I think he got fired like the next morning.
That night against Georgia Southern, I was about hyperventilating going into overtime.
My girlfriend's a Georgia Southern grad. She asked me to bring it up. She said that was her favorite college football environment.
Oh my gosh, you cannot. I remember just thinking, thank God for Sony Michel, and then I remember feeling so excited after he scored that touchdown that we won, but then getting back like, wait a minute, I'm celebrating a big overtime win against Georgia Southern. And it was like just the emotion, the pendulum of emotions that was going on for that overtime game. That I'll never forget that.
If you listening out there, if you want to just watch a super boring game from that season, look up Georgia, Missouri 9-6.
Oh my gosh,
just a snooze fest, man. But good honorable mentions there, Will.
Great honorable mention.
And yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure from 2015 we scored like 1 or 2 total offensive touchdowns the entire month of October.
Yeah, that is true. Oh shoot, I was going to say something. Crap. 2022 Tennessee, man. How did that not make our list? I get once again the Sanford rule.
Sanford off the list immediately.
I know.
I thought it'd be one we could talk about, and I was just gonna leave stuff for everybody else.
Yeah. Well,
that one's probably my favorite. Well, one of my favorite Sanfords. I have a couple other honorable mentions. 2013 LSU was absolutely insane. I still remember to this, like it is so vivid to me. Odell Beckham Jr. kickoff, standing on the back of the end zone and just one hand grabbing it like this on a kickoff. And then Justin Scott Wesley breaking the touchdown. That one's one for me. Honestly, 2014 Clemson. I don't know how that didn't make y'all's list because Todd Gurley just said, "I'm here and I'm the man, and there's nothing you can do about it." Chubb said, "Hey, I'm pretty daggum good too." It was, but dude, that was when Todd ran the kickoff back. That was unbelievable. Honestly, 2014 Auburn that could be on the list too.
That was a great call.
Todd comes back from what now he would be making millions of dollars doing, signing his own name. And I'll since we're on 2014, I will take this to my grave. If Todd Gurley does not get suspended, he wins the Heisman that year. He had 900 yards through 6 games. I don't care if anybody tells me he was winning the Heisman that year.
Also, hold up, Baylor. Let me interject there. Going back to 2014 Auburn, I just want to shout out Ryan Rankin. He did not hold that guy, the Auburn player, on Todd's kickoff.
No.
I just want to, for the record, he didn't. So anyway, go ahead, Baylor.
I'm trying to think if there's any other off the top of my head.
Don't steal all mine. I got some too now.
I've only said 2. I was going to give you one more.
True. Okay, give me one more. Give me one more.
Okay. I'm going to say 2018 at Kentucky when we won the East.
Gummit, Baylor.
That was a good one. That was really good.
Giving you that one.
That was really good.
For the East, man. Yeah.
It was cold.
They were rowdy and fired up.
They were rowdy. Well, and also Kentucky. I mean, I don't know if y'all agree with this, but I feel like, except for last year, I feel like Kentucky probably plays us better than almost anybody else does as far as physicality level. Yep. I mean, year in, year out, we are in a dogfight with them. And so, I mean, that going up there and it was cold and then Swift kind of just set the Swift's run where he cut back. And when he did that, I was like, all right, we're fine. But yeah, those are the 3 honorable mentions that I would have that were really high on my list. And obviously all the ones y'all have said too would have made my list or my honorable mentions, but sorry again.
I'm going to add 2023 Oklahoma as well. I'm sure that was a great environment.
2023 Oklahoma.
Yes, I'm sure it was great. You're exactly right.
I'm sure it was a great environment.
It would have been. We would. Yeah.
As well.
I'm sure we absolutely took over that place.
What are we talking about?
Talking about the schedule blunder, how they decided.
Okay, yeah. I was like, what are we talking about?
I got you, Will. I got you.
That's good, Will.
That was good. That was good.
Oh man. All right, Adam.
That was good. Man. 2006 Peach Bowl against Virginia Tech, down 21-3. Awesome. Plays freshman Matthew Stafford leading us back, down 21-3 at halftime. They did a wide receiver reverse pass before the half for Frank Beamer's Hokies to go up 21-3. We came storming back. Tony Taylor erupted that game. There was that 06 season and all was disappointing, but the very back half going to Auburn winning 37-15. Probably the least amount of Georgia fans I've seen in Jordan Hare was that day, but beating a top 5 Auburn team as an unranked team, 37-15, whooping them. And then the 15-12 Georgia Tech game, probably my favorite Georgia Tech game, even though we only beat them by 3. Calvin Johnson's last year at Georgia Tech was that game. The late Paul Oliver was covering him, man, and that was the Massaquoi 2-point conversion call. Larry Munson's last great call at the University of Georgia was the Massaquoi call. So kind of just that 3-game run in 2006 to end on a high note, man. Another good one, 2005 Tennessee. Thomas Flowers punt return. Great environment. That's when Tennessee fans still thought that they were good. They were still relevant. Still just had won the East the year before with Eric Ainge. And winning that game right there was that was big. 2005 SEC championship, of course. I've alluded to that game way too many times in this podcast, so I was going to skip it. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of anything else y'all have touched on about all the rest. 2003 Clemson at Clemson, beating them 30-0, hottest game of my life. Fred Gibson burning all Mr. Everything. Cornerback Justin Miller to set the tone that day. We're going to put that clip up the week of the Clemson game. That's one of my favorite Georgia Clemson highlights. Right?
That was at the beginning of the game, right?
Oh yeah. Gibson,
right out of the gate.
Green threw a great ball to him, just scorched him.
Man, Fred Gibson, that was my favorite receiver growing up, and I really don't know why.
My first Georgia jersey.
Yeah, mine too.
There you go.
Yep, and then David Green.
But mine was Pollock.
Oh yeah, what an era! What an era. Man, I'm so glad that we've won championships for those guys, and these players nowadays, they don't care about I don't think a lot of them do care about those old teams, but me as a fan, it's like this is for them too.
I tell you one more thing, another underrated game back when bowl games meant something. The 2003 Capital One Bowl against Purdue. And if you think about it, we played Purdue with Drew Brees in the 90s in the Outback Bowl, and we came back and beat them down by 20-plus points. Well, this time we were up 20-plus points, and Kyle Orton. Y'all remember Kyle Orton? Played a little, played some NFL ball. He led Purdue back. Yep. He played at Purdue in 03. They came storming back. They were down by like 25 points against us and tied it up. We beat them in overtime to win the Capital One Bowl against the Purdue Boilermakers. Back when regular bowl wins meant something again.
Yeah.
Just tip of the cap to that. Days gone by, man.
Good stuff. Yep. All right, I'm going to cap this off. I got several more here. I'm gonna go with 21 Clemson in Charlotte.
Yeah, there you go.
And the reason why
there you go.
that game was so special because it was first since COVID, and coming back from that,
First row 60 game.
first row 60
That's
game.
right. That's
Good
right.
point there,
Good point.
Baylor. Yeah.
Good point.
I'll never forget. I literally landed in Charlotte that night on my flight from Memphis, and y'all had y'all's first call-in show, and I was literally waiting on an Uber at the airport, and I called in that night just to be like, we're about to go do the thing.
Yeah.
Love it. That's right.
Just the buzz around the stadium before the game was awesome. They had the guys coming in, flying down, parachuting onto this. I mean, it was just great. Just good stuff.
I had just taken a job in Charlotte, and I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have that circle when I was looking. I was like, well, I mean, Georgia's going to be there in the fall, so at least I'll get a game there.
I love
I
that.
had a bunch of buddies stay. I lived in a shoebox of an apartment. I had 5 air mattresses with like 5 of my college buddies, just like wall to wall there. It was an awesome weekend.
That's awesome.
That's when you know that you're a Georgia football fanatic is when you take a job around Georgia football schedule. I've done it. We've done it. I mean, everybody
playing babies around Georgia
babies
football,
around it, everything.
taking
Man, I love
jobs.
it. Love it. Love it.
Oh, my
My
gosh.
people.
Yep.
My guys right there. Love that.
Another game I'm going to go with 2012 SEC championship game. And this one is an absolute heartbreaker. The game itself, the result, but leading up to that game, man, the excitement we had, clinching the East, going to play a top-tier Alabama team. My gosh, I mean, you talk about the talent on both sides of those teams. It was stacked. I mean, almost every starter on both sides ended up in the league on both sides of the ball, which is just insane. So,
I still can't watch that game to this day.
I can't either.
That
but,
one breaks my heart more than any of them.
yeah,
Ever.
But
More than
just-
17?
The reason why, Baylor, is because in 17
I'm
with
a
Kirby,
Baylor.
I knew we'd be back.
Yeah,
You just
that's
felt
true.
it. But that one in 12 felt like that was it.
Yeah, I'll never forget Alec Ogletree taking the block punt
Yes,
back
punt
all
back,
the
yes.
way.
Oh, my
my
gosh.
mom was right beside me. She called my dad and she said, "We need to book tickets. We need to book a flight to Miami for the national championship against what would have been
We
Notre Dame."
would have ransacked Notre Dame that year, too.
Yep.
I had just had Tommy John surgery probably like 7 days before that game, and we had tickets. And so I was there. Ogletree goes and returns it, and I took my giant robotic casted arm and just threw my mom a bow to the temple on accident.
Will.
And so Ogletree's like scoring, and I'm looking down like, "Are you okay? Are you?" She's like, "I'm fine." And so we're just all going crazy. My mom was like holding beside me. I was like, I had accidentally hit her, going nuts. So
That moment was
that's the
insane.
one.
21-10. I thought at that moment
Was
we went up 21-10. I was
insane.
like, we're about to do it.
Yeah.
Yep, I thought we were going to do
Just
it.
couldn't stop Eddie Lacy, man. The D-line was
Him and
gassed.
then Amari Cooper either. Damian
Just-
Swan
yep.
could not stop
Yep.
Amari Cooper.
That play action pass to Amari Cooper.
Yep. All right, a couple more here. 2017 Mississippi State. My gosh, the
let's
flea
give him
flicker.
flea flicker.
That one made my list too.
Yep.
Yeah,
One of the
flea flicker.
loudest moments I've ever heard Sanford. Baylor, you and I were on the field that game,
Yep.
and we were on the sideline.
We knew it was
and
coming, too,
we
yeah.
knew the flea flicker was coming. Credit to our friend Will Wells, who is,
Just
I don't know,
saw
he's
him.
Kirby's sidekick pretty much now.
Talked to him
Man,
yesterday.
yeah.
Did you
matter of
really?
fact, yeah.
Yeah, but Will was like, watch this. And sure enough, flea flicker for the touchdown. And what a way to set the tone. That was Dan Mullen in there. But that was a very hype game.
Yeah.
And Terry Godwin. I'm also going to go to, all right, we said 2014 Clemson. I'm going to go with one back. I'm going to go to my very first away game ever, and it was with Adam. We flew out to Arizona State, Tempe, Arizona. I'll never forget it. It was so much fun. We went to the Grand Canyon on the flight to Arizona, to Phoenix, actually. There's just a ton of Georgia fans on this Delta flight. Everybody was dressed in red and black. That was another game. We kind of took over their stadium because the entire upper deck seemed like it was red and black. Not Arizona State red, but like Georgia, the purest form of red. That was an awesome game. That was obviously No-Shown diving in the end zone there across the pylon. That was a good game.
Yeah, it was a
very
good
underrated. We said Arkansas. And then my last one, 2021 Orange Bowl, when we beat Michigan. That game, you heard the chirping. There really wasn't a whole lot of build up before the game. We
Kind of deflated a little bit.
Deflated, defeated going into that game, man. And Michigan was really excited. I mean, they were ready to get a piece of us. But we struck them, and We won the game, and then afterwards, that was the most exciting part of that atmosphere. Was you got to see the fireworks go off because it was New Year's Eve.
Smoking a cigar.
Smoking a stogie with you, Adam, and a lot of our Franklin County people outside the stadium. We knew we were going to the national championship. This was a special team. We were going to get the rematch against Alabama, and that excitement, I will never forget that feeling. And then obviously when Adam ran to Stetson Bennett's dad and said, if our baby, at the time that was Callie, is a boy, we're going to name it Stetson. And of course, we got Callie, and she's a girl, and she's precious, and we love her. But it would have been Stetson.
Would have been Stetson. I tried Keeley for the girl, but that didn't work. So the wife didn't go for it. But anyway.
So that's the list. Fellas, that was awesome.
That was great, guys.
That was a fun
Great
time
job
right
by
there.
y'all. Great job by y'all.
Whoa, college football great.
Oh, it's great, man. I love
is.
it. I love it. And it's here. And it's here.
Yeah.
I will say it is great, but it is so much better that we're living in the days we're living in right now. It just literally when I'm sitting at the office in between patients, if I'm not seeing patients, I am literally doing nothing. I've probably read every Georgia article on 24/7 and on 5 times.
And that's it, man. And think about it. This year going into 2024, is there a couple games? Is there 3 or 4 games that could potentially be on the list years from now?
That's true.
This same podcast.
Yeah, very true. Well, Will and Baylor, we greatly appreciate y'all hopping on this show with us. We
DGDs, baby.
By the way,
DGDs.
for everybody listening, the reason they're on the show, we have an amazing text thread. It's just the 4 of us and then McCade, the 5th. But we just go back and forth. I mean, literally throughout the entire year, not even just Georgia's football season. Just talking all things sports. We've created a great little friendship amongst everybody and a lot of fun. So we appreciate y'all being guests as always. And hey, we'll have y'all back on for sure. Fellas, we'll see y'all soon. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, baby.
Absolutely. How about them, baby?
Go Dogs, baby.
Talk to y'all soon.
Yes, sir.
Well, Adam, what a show. What a fun time.
Man. What a show.
Tell us what you're feeling right now. We're 24 days out from kickoff as of the recording of this.
Man. I mean, that trip down the memory lane, really what that did is it reminds you of why you get so excited this time of year for what's to come, and just the thought process of what game is going to be added to that list of the best environments, most memorable times that you got coming up. And I mean, now where we're at as Georgia fans and how lucky we are is that you're in the national championship hunt every year.
Yeah.
And you're a Georgia Bulldog now, man. So, I mean, that's exciting now, the era that we're in. Like I said, I think I'm just getting so much more excited this year because of the newness of what's going on, the potential of a playoff game in Sanford. I mean, just the added games throughout the whole month of December, Oklahoma and Texas, the new SEC championship format of who knows who could be in that game, man. I mean, just the unknown of it's about to be, questions are about to be answered, Clark. Talking season's about over. It's time for Toad Meat Leather, and it's against somebody that me and you cannot stand. We hate. Against Clemson in Atlanta, in the state of Georgia. I can't wait, man.
Adam,
I cannot wait.
Did you buy any Clemson stock last year when Dabo told you to?
I did. No.
Well, good, because it's crashing.
It's crashing.
Just like our market.
It's crashing. It's crashing, baby. And everybody ramp up that Clemson hate.
Yeah. Well, hey, folks, if you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor. Go find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and what I want you to do is just leave us a really good review. Hopefully it's 5 stars.
That's right.
We want all 5, you know,
Please.
just like our recruits. We want them 5-star recruits. Give us a 5-star review if you don't mind, or subscribe to us on YouTube. That helps us grow our channel.
Helps the algorithm.
Helps the algorithm, right, Adam?
That's right.
And follow us on social media. We got TikTok. We got Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you call it, Facebook, YouTube, obviously. So, hey, we can't wait to see y'all soon. Adam, put a bow on this one.
All right, man. We're there. It is crunch time right now. It's time to get serious. Break out that red and black. Break out. If you're hatting already, if you're not like us and hatting already, that's fine, whatever. But it's fall. It's time to dust it off.
Yep.
It's time to get fired up. It's time to start canceling your children's events on Saturdays or family gatherings, whatever the obligations that are going to be happening. It's time to get everything structured for your Saturdays to be free watching the Dogs, man. It's going to be a fun year. Cannot wait for the next couple episodes we got going into the Clemson pre-week, man. Everybody get excited about it. Love y'all. Stay safe out there. We'll see y'all next week. Go Dogs,
Go Dogs.
baby.